Absolutely. 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 Well, you know, we also have Reverend Corey Guest, who's in the building here with us. And what he does is, as the managing director of virtual learning centers, what he does is that he takes the platform and he implants it in ministries across the globe, basically. And then what he then does is he sits with them for a year to make sure that the program is being rolled out. They're allowed to call it what they want. So you have Decision Point Christian Academy. You might have another ministry that calls it something else, but they're following the directives of virtual learning centers, right?
That's correct.
So tell me a little bit about the VLC platform and how it's really structured, and that you can take it and go from one ministry to the next and accomplish the same thing.
Well, unlike most institutions, I'm a parent of two educators. My father was an administrator in Menlo Atherton in Menlo Park near San Francisco for over 30 years, and my mom was an English teacher for over 30-something years. So I knew I didn't want to be in a teaching platform, but at the same time, I knew that I had a spirit for church planting.
Yeah.
And even though I don't plant churches now, I do plant educational facilities within churches.
Nice.
And it came out of me not being able to put both of my children in private school. I truly wanted to, and I got tired of people complaining about lack of school choice. So I said, instead of yelling about school choice, let's give them a choice. So it took everything I understood about education, which wasn't much, and I looked at the best things that public schools have to offer.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the cost. The fact that you're paying your taxes into this institution, shouldn't I get something out of it?
Right.
And unfortunately, the tax dollars don't necessarily follow the child just because you paid them. If you send them to a private school, your tax dollars aren't going there. If you decide to homeschool, that can get a few extra dollars in your pocket just because you decide to homeschool your child.
Okay.
At the same time, I looked at what private school has to offer, which is the value system, the Judeo-Christian values that they teach, and a lot of us want that. But of course, the intimacy of homeschooling and looking at your child and say, okay, you're not understanding math this way, let's take some time and take a break. We'll go to English and come back. And offering that is what I want to offer, not just my children, but other people's children as well. So I went back to my base, and my base is the church. And where other people would rent out a storefront or say, I can't afford a school or I can't afford that, I said, well, what's already in the community?
Right.
The local church.
The local church.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not opening this up in storefronts. I'm not opening this up at the local college.
Right.
I'm specifically focused on the evangelical Bible-based believing churches hosting these to do three things. One is to allow full-time staffing of that youth pastor or that music ministry, because now we have this school.
Nice.
To bring more dollars into that church so they can do real outreach.
Right.
And the last thing is, Jesus did a few things. And to throw Jesus in here, he fed the people fish before he preached to them.
Right.
So let's stop offering the people something just spiritual and offer them something tangible.
I like
and
that.
this tangible thing is what I call education.
Right.
Quality education.
Yeah.
It's just as quality as private school, but it's a third the price.
I like that. Dr. Black,
I'm all in.
you in?
What you need me to do?
Right?
She need to come teach a
I'm
class or
absolutely.
something.
What you need me to do? Because
You know,
I am all in.
this
I
is
mean,
powerful.
the reality is he's really offering something that is of a benefit to the community,
Yeah.
that can expand from church to church to church. We have these
From
huge
generation to
mega
generation.
churches around
Wow.
here
Wow.
that really could benefit from this.
Yeah. Because I don't think they're using these
mega,
platforms.
right? They're mega on everything else, but they're not necessarily mega on educating their kids that's actually in the church that they actually could be using.
Yes. You
Now-
better get with it.
They gonna be looking. Some of the megas gonna be looking for that money, but I'm just saying
Well, I'm always looking for new churches and new people
Yeah,
to
I
partner
know that's
with,
right.
because I know I can't do
because
this
they
by
mega for a
myself.
reason.
I truly can't do this by myself, and God put it on my heart. Before I pass away, there's going to be 500 of these schools, not managed by me, because I believe each one should be autonomous.
Right. You're
Now,
planting
can I
it.
ask you something? Can these schools, and since they're virtual, I'm assuming that these schools can really cater to any ministry or any church of any size,
Very much so.
and that's the
See,
big
that's
key.
the important key
That's
right
the
there.
key. Now, with the virtual, I guess that virtual classroom or the cyber classroom, will the churches have to provide the computers, or I guess maybe they'll get a grant or something where they can be provided computers?
Right. The majority of our computers were donated.
Okay.
And what I find normally is you don't need the best Mac computer.
You
No,
sure
you
don't.
really
You just
don't.
need something that works.
You need something with about 2 to 3 gigs, which is really, I have that on my phone
Really
right
basic,
now.
right,
Right.
right.
So
Yeah.
so we can kind of eliminate that. So before people say I can't, let's see what we can do.
See what you have,
and
yeah.
then work backwards from there. Like you said with mega churches, the next place I go to is San Jose, California, which has one of the largest African American Southern Baptist churches called Emmanuel Baptist.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, I know
awesome,
it.
huge facility off of Story Road in San Jose.
Right.
Okay.
Pay $60,000 a month in a mortgage,
Mm.
and no one uses the school. It's full of
Wow.
computers, and no one uses it because
So how many?
It's time
and
to take
you
a
can just
trip.
imagine how many kids are there then.
right now there's none.
It's
because
time to take a
No, I mean as far as like how many families in that church
Oh wow, yeah.
that are members who have kids that
Exactly.
really could be
that
benefiting
could
from
benefit
this.
from this type of
Exactly.
platform. I love it. This is Decision Point Christian Academy. They're coming out of Decision Point Ministries. I encourage you to please log on to decisionpointministries.org to learn more about this academy and also to get your children enrolled. They're accepting grades 1 through 6 at the current time.
And they're catering to the children that's in the Southwest Atlanta area,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the Sandtown community. So you have more than just 1 or 2 schools right there in that direct area that you can choose from. It's so good to have options.
I love it. Love
So
the
good to have
options.
options.
I love the options.
Use them,
Yes,
please.
I thank you so much, you guys, for joining on with us and hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sharing this information with our listeners. Decision Point Christian Academy. Please log on to decisionpointministries.org. All right, we have a few minutes left, and we got to hear our tech tip